from Ethiopia, which is really not so much part of ESC, but is part of the East Africa region, and also have Somalia on board. So we've really been on a roller coaster, and I'm really excited to see most of our national coordinators and people who have been with this process from the start. Special thanks goes out to our hosts, that is KICTANet, who successfully hosted the Kenya Internet Governance Forum yesterday, and a whole week of the first Africa Tech Policy Summit. And again, we are very grateful to KICTANet holding and leading this process from the start of this forum, and that is the East Africa Internet Governance Forum. We are also grateful to our partners from the East Africa community. I see we've had some of, we have some the colleagues join us. So most welcome, and we are happy to have you today. The purpose of today's meeting, we have a day zero, and this is to enable us have a very honest conversation about the national NRIs, or national, I don't want, the R is supposed to be for regional, but about the national forums. They've achieved quite a lot since the onset. I think Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi have really been active from the time we started the East Africa IGF, and that is in 2008. And today we would like to explore and have a very honest discussion about what we've been able to achieve these many years, 20 years later, what the key takeaways we can have as the IGF is coming up for renewal, the global IGF, that is 20 years later, but also what key contributions as a region can we feed into the current reviews, like the WSIS plus 20 process, which is also the same forum that set up the IGF. So I would like to quickly perhaps pass a mic and just to make sure that I have my colleagues online. I can see Robert, so I'll probably, Robert, just which regional, which national forum you're representing the country, and you pass on maybe the mic to the next person. Then we'll go into the next conversation. So Robert, you could introduce yourself, where you're coming from, the national IGF you represent, and then you can pass on the mic to the next person. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lillian. As you mentioned, my name is Robert Ford. I'm representing Rwanda at the EAIGF. I was glad to join the the afternoon session yesterday of the KICTANet EAIGF meeting at the Age Convention Center, and was very excited about the topics that were being discussed at the time, which resonate a lot with what we have in the themes that we'll be discussing during the EAIGF moving forward. I'm happy to join and to be with the team. Over to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. I think you were supposed to pass the mic to someone else, so I will maybe ask Asen. Hopefully, Asen will be able to follow the not the instruction, but the flow. So Asen, you can say where you're from, and then you pass on to the next person. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Lillian. Thank you for organizing this, and congratulations again, as you say, to our host, KICTANet. for putting this together, and I'm really happy that we are here today to discuss matters pertaining to our region. So my name is Arsene Tungali. I'm representing the national IGF in the DRC, so that the Democratic Republic of Congo. I think we are the newest members that joined, I would say, 2 years ago, joined the East African community, and we are grateful to have been added as part of the East African IGF. So I'm sure we'll be having wonderful conversations as we reflect on the 20 years back, but also I'll get the opportunity to speak about our national IGF during this conversation. So thank you very much, Lillian, and I'll pass the mic to Stephen.
Thank you very much, Arsene. Colleagues, good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Stephen from South Sudan. I represent the South Sudan Internet Governance Forum. We have been active, I think, for the last 3 versions of the East Africa IGF, and we are glad to be part of this platform, which is providing an opportunity for the region to discuss their national issues into a regional context that can actually feed in later on into the global IGF discussion. So once again, thank you and pleasure to be here. I can pass it to who else? Naza from Tanzania.
Thank you, Stephen. Let me turn on my video. I am all the way from Benin, Cotonou in Benin, and I am glad to be able to join with you guys. I couldn't be there physically, but we are very excited to to engage in the discussions for the EAIGF this year. And in Tanzania, we are in the 12th edition of our IGF, and we look forward to pulling these all things together, as it says in our theme. So I look forward to the discussion and the contribution. I'll be on and off because I am in Benin representing Tanzania for the WISIS Forum. Thank you. Back to you. Next is whoever is next. I'm using my phone, so I can't be able to see.
Thank you so much, Naza, and glad for you to join us. We know you're a bit some 2 hours ahead, so you're already the people in the afternoon. So I would like to pass the mic to Joshua, and Joshua maybe will pass to Jean-Paul because I see Jean-Paul's hand is up.
All right. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm looking forward to listening in to hear from what's going on in the other countries. I'm Joshua Mpeire from Uganda, representing the IGF Uganda and the sitting president of ISO. I'm looking forward really to hear from you guys. Thank you. I pass on the mic to Jean-Paul. Jean-Paul?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, Jean-Paul, we can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I am Jean-Paul Nkurunziza from Burundi. I represent the IGF Burundi. We started the first Burundi IGF 2009 after attending the first East Africa IGF in Nairobi 2008. So we are happy to share to join this conversation. I'm still in Bujumbura. Maybe I'm coming soon to Nairobi. Thank you.
Thanks, Jean-Paul. I see Rosemary, your hand is up, so I'll take it. I don't know whether you'll be speaking on behalf of the Kenya IGF or whether Barack or anyone from KICTANet. So kindly unmute and say a word or two about this. And also to say that Rosemary is our current MAP chair, so probably she will say more about the process this year, why we are here, and then we will kickstart our conversation. Rosemary, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Lillian. I think for me, that was the main capacity that I was speaking in, the MAG chair, and speaking about what we've had in terms of engagement. I thank the team from all over East Africa for dedication in the whole past couple of months trying to put this together. And even the fact that we've been able to have this session, despite, of course, the various constraints that are not just for us regionally, it's a global thing. But I think we've pulled through. And I think for me, from a Kenyan perspective as well, thanking the local host team for being here, for putting this together, and for supporting both to make sure that you know that EAIGF happened. From the Kenyan perspective, I guess it's a hive of activities in terms of the internet governance discussions, and it has been a whole week of the tech policy forum, including even the various schools of internet governance. And on this end, it's just looking forward to a robust conversation today as we all contribute towards shaping what the conversations that are truly representative of our region in the internet governance space. So thanks, Lillian. I guess mine was just a quick hello. No one had spoken from the host country, and we are feeling FOMO. So I can have opened, and we can have Barak speak next. Thanks.
Barak, the floor is yours. Barak, you're here? Hello, Barak. Maybe David or Nima or anyone from KICTANet. There's total silence. Barak, are you able to speak?
I'm trying to unmute him. Let me see.
Yeah, he has 2 accounts of running, so I just don't know which one is which. But yeah, I mean, between you, Nima, and you, David, let's just have someone maybe speak, and then as Barak sorts out his technical issues.
Thank you, Lillian. My name is David Indeje, Communications KICTANet, and I think I've met a few of partners from the region yesterday, and we do appreciate on behalf of KICTANet. I know our CEO, Dr. Grace, would have been here, but I think she's en route because she had been invited at the same venue. Actually, when you come to the Edge, you'll find out that we have the Kenya Annual Media Summit, and the Media Council of Kenya, having been part of our partners for the planning of the Africa Tech Policy Summit, they also extended that invitation to her. So I think she's on her way. But on behalf of KICTANet, we do welcome each and everyone to Nairobi, to Kenya. Feel most welcome, and we look forward also to listening because as Robert Ford explained or expressed, yes, everyone should just be very open to interact, to speak out their hearts out, so that at the end of the day, we come out and say, yes, indeed, we came out for a particular theme to advance Africa's, the region's internet governance process, because there's a lot of vibrance. And I remember much of the discussions even yesterday, I remember they said Rwanda, Tanzania is really moving forward. And for the rest of the regions, what can we do so that we also move as one by the spirit of the East African community? So in short, I look forward to listening to what transpired across the other regions in Tanzania, Rwanda, Somalia, DRC, and Uganda, so that we have a common sense, even as we will be again, God willing, inshallah, head to Tanzania to represent again the region across Africa. Just because for me, I think for the last 3 years, the East African region, although I know Ethiopia is not part of it completely, but we know it's our foster brother across. We have been very privileged to be hosting this internet governance for that particular period, and this speaks a lot to why we need to really become a pedestal for whatever discussions, whatever issues that arise, so that when they say today we are hosting the East Africa, within the month again we'll be going to support our brothers from Tanzania, it speaks a lot to what we believe in terms of the discussions around internet governance, discussions around technology, discussions around accessibility, discussions around connectivity, discussions around data privacy, discussions around artificial intelligence. And we believe all these discussions help us to progress as a region for the advancement of, they usually say, prosperity and transformation for our society, and not just for the people who live within the urban setup. So with these short remarks, karibuni sana Kenya. I will teach Lilian Kiswahili. Back to you.
Thanks, David. Asante sana. So you see, I'm already picking up a few words here and there. So thank you again, once again, members. I know you're the voices, you're the faces behind all this that we are having. Without the work, the effort you're putting in ensuring that the national IGFs are happening, we will not be having an East Africa IGF. So thank you so much. To those joining us, this is day 0 of the 12th East Africa Internet Governance Forum. And again, our main focus this year is advancing East Africa's digital governance together. Today, day 0, we are looking at how national IGFs are paving way for inclusive digital governance in East Africa. And later on in the afternoon, we'll have a session on digital trade and governance from a youth perspective. And we'll close off for today. Today's main sessions are mainly they are virtual. Tomorrow, we are all convening physically and virtually at the EDGE Convention Center to have a whole day of advancing East Africa's digital future, digital governance. And we have a packed conversation. We'll be hearing from representatives from ESC, we'll be hearing from representatives from the global IGF, we'll be hearing from policymakers, development partners, practitioners, private sector, parliamentarians. So again, we welcome you all to EDGE tomorrow, 8 to 5 p.m. as we discuss on how we can improve our digital governance. So without further ado, I would like to kick off this conversation by asking a very much probably question that, and I would like to put this to, I don't know if Nazar is still on online. Nazar, just say something, because you said your internet is on and off. I would like to put the first question on you because many people have been asking, what are the success stories? Are there any key case studies that we can use to demonstrate the impact of national, IGFs? And I know in Tanzania, there's been quite a number of, and also the other initiatives, but in Tanzania, I think there are some case studies that we ought to point out. So to the new people who are just taking part in this regional event, Nazar, what success stories or case studies demonstrate impact of your national IGF, and what kind of recommendations could you give for adopting inclusive digital policies or projects? So Naza, I don't know if you're on the floor, if you're still here with us. If not, then I can pose this question back to any of the representatives. So Naza, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Lillian, for the question. I think it's a very fundamental question in terms of
Naza, sorry, we are losing you.
and all that. One is that through our national IGF, we have continued to bring all key stakeholders together to discuss issues that are of national importance, which also tie into the global frameworks on different aspects of internet. And although it has been a little difficult to engage like members of parliament, because if you are engaging members of parliament, it's like they would need for you to come up with large sums of money to even put them on the room. So at least now, we have MP friend Nima, who has been making some inroads to bring policymakers on the table. So the issue of making sure that we bring all key stakeholders together, the academia, technical community, the civil society, and the private sector continues. And we believe, for example, in the past years, we were pushing for the data protection law in Tanzania. We kept pushing, although the legislation activity, died somehow in the National Assembly, but we kept pushing. Every time we would have the national IGF, we would put that recommendation there and do the follow-ups. So in 2022, now the data protection law, was realized, and we believe it is because of pushing and making sure that every time we engage the stakeholders, we keep talking about having the data protection law. So I think the best experience that I can share from our perspective in terms of bringing a legislation or a law that is much needed in the country is that we have to continue engaging. You cannot protest, you cannot do anything, but the best way to do is to keep pushing in terms of negotiation, and when you go to other meetings, you keep doing the advocacy. So that is the experience that we can share about pushing to make sure you have the law that works for all. Secondly, is about making sure we have
Naza, I don't know if you're still speaking. Seem to have lost him somewhere there. Is Naza still online, Nima?
I think his connection is poor. He was
poor.
speaking from Cotonou, I think, so the connection could be bad.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so as we get Naza to connect, I would like to pass the mic. I don't know whether it will be David or Barak. I don't know if Barak is able to speak on behalf of the IGF in Kenya. And I need a heads up or nod from Barak.
Vivian, I'm happy to take it if Barak is not able to speak.
Okay, so again, having just, I know many people here could be connecting from Kenya, and Kenya IGF has been really considered as a success in the region, and having fresh in mind, could you share maybe how do you do it? I would have said it in Uganda, but I don't know if my translation is coming out like, from Uganda to English. How is Kenya doing it? What mechanisms are you having in place to ensure that there's diverse stakeholder participation in these processes, in these conversations?
Okay, thanks. I think for us, we've been very intentional about the stakeholder relationships. And it's not just about the IGF. The IGF comes once in a year. So it's about what then do you engage programmatically with your partners throughout the year on critical issues, always being a voice through which you can sound off on various issues. For example, if it's a policy initiative, do we then participate? If there are bills to be given, suggestions on legislations that touch on internet governance, are you then the thought leaders? If it's an issue that maybe affects the private sector in the course of the year, how then are you a partner to the ecosystem that is internet governance, as opposed to maybe just sitting somewhere and then convening high? We've convened, it's the Internet Governance Forum for East Africa, Kenya, Africa. It's about a continuous partnership, and I think those have really been critical. If there's a research to be done, engaging with partners like academia, whom we work with very closely to make sure that they have a voice and that we put the partners in the room. So I guess for us that has been the sweet spot in terms of how do you not just build one partnership, how then do you then move then to programmatic work? How then do you move now to other initiatives that make you a trusted partner in the internet governance space, such that now by the time the IGF comes up, it becomes a meeting of minds, a melting pot of all the things that you've been doing across the year. And I guess that then comes to the challenge of the sustainability of the IG process, even globally and regionally. For this to be successful, it can't be a one-off event. It has to be something that has positive outcomes, that has impacts even on things that touch the lives of people on a day-to-day matter. I'll give an example for KICTANet. Even legislations that are passed by our National Assembly, we get to participate, especially those that touch on internet governance issues. We have the data protection law where we made submissions 8 years back. We have issues like Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act. Whenever there have been amendments to maybe communication laws, those we've made sure that we're part and parcel, and even running through other forms of thought leaderships. So that has been the key initiative, such that now by the time you have the Internet Governance Forum, you then have a convening that then collates all the things that have been happening over there or over the year. And I guess from a sustainability perspective, that has worked. We've also been able to build new voices, and that has helped because over the years, you realize that people come into the space who were not there before. And even building an expertise that we're then able to share. Not just as KICTANet people, but even in other industries. So I guess that's, for me, that has been my key observation on this. And I'll even have my colleagues speak to this if they want. And this has even worked even with development partners, where, like, for example, we're even working together to do things like digital literacy and so many other programs. So Lillian, that covers it. And looking forward to hearing more from other colleagues.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rosemary. And again, you raise very, very important points. We need to be intentional. This should not be, it's not been a one-off. The consistency that needs to be done, what has been put through. From when we started in 2008 to where we are, some people have stayed, some people have moved on to other things. But again, issues of the internet do not change. The conversations are still the same. The issues we are addressing are still the same, but in newer kind of versions, in newer platforms. So again, bringing in new voices like academia, having these things feature into more, not a one-off event, but, in more into programmatic work. That is something that I think is coming out so much from Kenya. As we go, we are on the stride of having more of our success factors. I would like to call upon from Uganda, Mr. Joshua, from the Uganda IGF. What outcomes and how do the outcomes from, say, the Uganda IGF, how are these influencing national digital policies and strategies? We've had, I think, Naza mentioned a hint about that, and also Rosemary mentioned about something, how this feed into the policy conversations at national level. Are there any success stories we can you can share from Uganda that, we can say that this is what is happening in the Pearl of Africa?
Yes, thank you. I think for Uganda this year, the biggest achievement we had was the launch of the Parliamentary Internet Governance Forum. To give you a background on this, as you know, even in the other countries, the parliaments have been slow to act on this Internet Governance Forum. And if I remember well, last year, one of the leaders in parliament was actually a victim of misinformation, bring it even to the floor of parliament, because this was a matter pertaining to his own household. Now, this year, I believe that might have been, they say experience is the best teacher. I believe some of these are the reasons why we were able to eventually have a Parliamentary Internet Governance Forum launched officially by the Deputy Speaker of Parliament together with the Minister of ICT. So for me, this showed that this work we have been doing over the very many years is now bearing fruit. And I believe now the laws will come in easier and better if we even have champions within the very parliament. Previously, it has been people on the outside trying to push the lawmakers into enacting these laws. And most times these laws have come into place out of reaction, not proaction. And well, sometimes they say the end justifies the means. So our highlight this year was the launch of the Parliament Internet Governance Forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joshua. And again, I think this is something that we are saying that being intentional, something that Rosemary has highlighted. We need to be intentional if we are talking at having a meeting and convening people. How do we get concrete action points? And again, this year, of course, Uganda, we were honored to officially launch the Uganda Parliamentary Internet Governance Forum. Conversation started last year, but then the parliamentarians took it to a step further. They went ahead and registered their initiative as part of the parliament, part of for it to be the parliament, system. So we had the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the Minister, everything into endorsement. So at least there we know when you're looking at digital policies, we are looking at, how do we get legislators to understand what the current issues are, the challenges. We have a parliamentary caucus that we can present to these issues before they are tabled in Parliament. So thank you so much for sharing that experience. We are still on the stride of, success factors, and would like to hear from one of the youngest IGFs, and that is from South Sudan, from Stephen. Again, to hear, there have been any ways, the South Sudan IGF is using this platform to come to, to adopt any policies. What is happening in South Sudan? Stephen, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, Lillian, and also thank you, my colleagues, the previous speakers. This has been very informative, and I've been listening attentively, and I've been learning a lot in terms of their experiences and how they have managed past challenges and also created opportunities and also achievements in their respective sectors and countries. To give a perspective to this one, the South Sudan IGF in itself has been established in 2019. And South Sudan as a country, as Lillian have just said, the youngest country, yes indeed. We are young. There is a new country somewhere in the Caribbean that might be the youngest by now. But the South Sudan as a country has gotten independence in 2011. So in 2019, 8 years into our independence, we established the South Sudan Internet Governance Forum chapter. And I believe it has played a big role in terms of shaping the digital ecosystem in South Sudan. Because the first IGF forum we had in 2019, one or two or three of the major outcomes of the forum itself is starting by first the forum called to what the USF, the Universal Service Fund, which is already established in other countries in the region. But as a young country, we didn't have that one in place. And as colleagues who have been engaged, we came and discussed this at the national level, and the government took note of it. And by the time we are having the next IGF, they have already established the Universal Service and Access Fund. So we believe that was an achievement as part of the discussion and recommendation from the South Sudan Internet Governance Forum in 2019. Also, we have discussed the need to have a data protection law. Currently, we have a draft, and we have discussed the need to have a cybercrime and computer misuse law, and we have pushed for that. And we have worked with the other stakeholders to have a provisional draft, which has also became a bill, again recalled back to the parliament. And currently, as we speak, it is in the second reading in the parliament. So hopefully soon it will be passed. So this was also some of the achievements you can see when they are discussed at the national forums like the South Sudan IGF, where you have regulators, you have ministers, and the secretaries attending. So some of us might think the discussion is just small and it goes. No, it is not small, because they will hear and they will listen. And eventually, when they go back to their offices, they will think about it and they will know this is something that they need to do. And in some cases, actually, they reach back to us like, how can we start with this one? Where do we get support in terms of technical support, and where do we start exactly in terms of drafting bills, in terms of establishing maybe an institution that might not have been in place. So this is a few I can recall. Apart from that, the South Sudan Internet Governance Forum has been a champion of many other activities, including digital skills. And we have been part of also a digital skills assessment, which is still ongoing. This is a national digital skills assessment, because we have realized last year the country was developing a national digital transformation strategy. And we all know, as to develop a national digital transformation strategy, you need to conduct also a national digital skills assessment, so that strategy is being fed or informed from needs or from gap assessment. What are the needs of digital transformation to happen in South Sudan? What do we need? What do we have in place in terms of infrastructure, in terms of policies, in terms of institution, and in terms of also the capacities of the human resources of the personnel? So this one also has been one of our initiatives, and it is happening right now. And we also supporting various capacities in terms of advisory and in terms of also implementing some sections of that particular exercise. So there are many things that the forum can feed. It depends on the current status of each country. But into our context, this is where we are now. And in the future, we see this forum to play a bigger role also in terms of, where we are now as actually what we are majorly focusing on this year's National IGF as a forum is how do we build internet governance ecosystem. By that, I mean, how do we include more people? So next year, I don't want to be the same as Stephen, alone. I should be there, of course, but I need more people also to be here. How do we engage our younger population to participate into the global internet ecosystem? Things like ICANN fellowships, things like, yes, ICANN fellowships, and also attending meetings, engaging with the regional national IGFs and global IGFs. So we have our School of Internet happening next, the 26th of this month. And the major focus, we will be training 25 fellows on the major focus of the School of Internet Governance Forum. The School of Internet curricula will be how now to prepare them to engage in from the national internet governance ecosystem to the regional, the East Africa IGF, and then to the, let's say, continental and to the global, so that we ensure we build great internet governance ambassadors. And we believe by doing that, they will also feed back into their respective communities and they will have a bigger impact at the national level. So allow me to stop it here and summarize. Yes, indeed, the forum is very important. I will also recon with what my colleague said is about being intentional. Yes, indeed, internet governance need to be intentional. And this year we are intentional in terms of building capacities of more people to engage in the South Sudan Internet Governance Forum and also regional and global. Thank you once again, colleagues, and still will proceed with the discussion if more to be said. Back to you, Lilian.
Thank you so much, Stephen, and always really interesting and very insightful hearing from South Sudan, and considering you're the youngest nation in the region, and you're really on a very, very fast journey to catch up with the rest of the region, and you're doing amazing things. So thank you so much, Stephen. We have 3 more initiatives that would like to highlight the work they're doing in promoting or, awareness, whether it's capacity building, what work they're doing. And I would like to give the floor to DRC, again, one of the newest in the region to join the ESC. I know DRC has been having IGFs, but in regard to the region, I think you only joined 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, Asen. So Asen, would really like to hear the work that you're doing, from the key success points. We'll get to the challenges, they are there, but right now we just want to know, how are things going there? What is it you're doing? How can other countries learn from your work? So Asen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lilian. And coming from the biggest French-speaking country in the world, I would say bonjour to everyone. From the DRC, we speak French, and French is our main language, and that's why most of our events and our conversations are always happening in French. And now that we are growing and joining we've joined the East African community, we've started, practicing our English to make sure our points and issues are being heard because of English. I also speak Swahili. This also shows that we are really part of East Africa. So I would like to acknowledge at least one other colleague from our national IGF who is on the call. One of my colleague, Bilal. At some point, I'm sure she will probably just write in the chat. But the DRC IGF started, we had our first meeting in 2017. And this was through the initiative of the government. So for the DRC, it's the government, like the Ministry of ICT, that started the IGF back in 2017. As civil society, we've been pushing and we pushed, and finally we had, through a decision from the ministry back then to officially institute the national IGF. So it came from the political will, because most of the times, and I'm sure our colleagues from the region will agree with me, we need implication from the governments, because at the end of the day, they're the ones implementing policies. They're the ones deciding on what needs to be done in the country. So having the government part of our initiative is one of the important highlights. And so this year, 2025, it was our 5th edition of the national convening. And what is interesting is that we've not only had this meeting happening in the capital city, which is Kinshasa, but we also had the very same event happening in other regions, such as in Goma, making sure we also have perspectives from that region by putting the event physically happening in Goma. So this year it was in Kinshasa, and it was really powerful. This is the best IGF ever that we've had, because it was done in partnership with the parliament. And the event actually was held in the parliament premises. As you can imagine, this was powerful, and we had the honorable president of the parliament to be the head. I mean, it was done under I don't know how you say it in English, under the auspices of the national parliament, which was also positive. And we had high-level members of parliament who were participants, which also gave them the opportunity to, even during their speeches, to say, this year, we want to take things in charge. And when the parliament says that they want to take things in charge, that means we've spoken a lot in terms of adopting progressive laws, in terms of adopting internet freedom-friendly legislations, those legislations that speak to the true issues the country is facing. And when you hear the top leadership of the National Assembly say that they want to hear more, they want to act more, and they want to work with the national IGF and all the stakeholders in making sure we advance the legislative process, that's powerful. We also had, for the second time in 5 years, since the inception of our national IGF, on the first one, we had the Minister of ICT to kickstart the event back in 2017. But for the all subsequent IGFs, we did not have the minister physically present himself. But this year, in April, for the 5th edition, the Minister of ICT was there as well. And during his speech, he also mentioned the multi-stakeholder model and the need to make sure this is really present in all the conversations regarding the present and the future of the internet. So when the minister says that decisions should not only come from the government or from just one entity, but himself saying he recognized the power of the multi-stakeholder model, I think this is also something positive, recognizing that the government is just a player, the civil society is just another player, private sector, academia are all players, and we all need to sit together. This was also powerful. So that just for the national IGF. But I also want to point out that the youth in the DRC have also taken a step forward. We've had now for 3 times, we'll be having the 3rd edition of the youth DRC IGF. We've had 2 meetings already in the past, and the 3rd one is happening in 1 week in Kinshasa. So the Youth IGF is also another platform that brings voices of young people in internet governance, and this is really positive. And we also have, in terms of capacity building, because sometimes people are wondering, what is the multi-stakeholder model? What does that mean? Why is it important? That's why we started the DRC School of Internet Governance, and we had our 3rd edition in 2025, where we also had members of parliament, civil society, private sector attend in order to understand and how they can be part of it. Because we want people to understand the multi-stakeholder model, but we also want them to be involved in regional initiatives as well in the global initiative, and ensure participation of the DRC into the global conversations, the Africa conversations, and the East Africa conversation, as well as the Central African conversations. So that's what I think I can share, Lilian, in terms of successes for the national initiative of the DRC, and we look forward to more participation in East Africa. I have to note that for the last 3 years, at least one member of parliament has been attending the East African IGF, but also the continental IGF. We've also had members of parliament attending, and I'm sure in Dar es Salaam in 2 weeks we'll also have more participation from the high level from the DRC. So, thank you very much, Lilian. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Asen. Again, good stuff. What I'm hearing is the new voices, and I think parliamentarians being active, because we've always heard about issues with parliamentarians, legislators not understanding the digital policy issues. And this is a pattern now that we are seeing that Uganda, DRC, Tanzania are having, members participate, and I'm sure also Kenya. And Rwanda, last year when we held the East Africa School on Internet Governance, we had parliamentarians from EALA, and very active, very engaging. And I think this is one of the key things that we can really highlight for, for the region. But I think there's a theme that is coming out around, involving the youth. We have youth IGFs at national level, at the regional level. We had, I think, the East Africa Youth IGF, which was birthed last year. And we have quite a number of Gen Zs active, mainly from, if I don't mention the country, your country, please don't get offense. But we have Kenya, Uganda, DRC, yes, we have 1 or 2, Tanzania. We want to see more youth from Sudan. We want to see more youth from Rwanda. Robert, I know you're next. So we would really like to see some of the youth, being active, involved, because 20 years or even 10 years from now, I think our voices would have, become a bit rusty, and we need more of these young people. And again, I think one of the other initiatives that we've seen come out is a success story from Kenya is the Children IGF. I think Kenya is the only one that is having this kind of, IGF. So I think now I see Barak, I think he popped up somewhere. He will maybe share more on that, build on that. And then, of course, the schools. The schools have been the ones that are building capacity. I'm sure many of the people who are on the call on this meeting today are beneficiaries of the SIGs, the Schools on Internet Governance. So quite a lot is happening, but I don't want to be the one saying this. I would like to give the floor to Rwanda, and then we'll also hear from Burundi, and then we will open up, because I don't want us to prompt the challenges, but I would like to open up to the community to ask questions, and then we can see how we've been addressing any challenges, and then we'll give it up to members to highlight any challenges. It will be an open floor. So Robert, the floor is yours. We'd like to hear the nice things that are happening from Rwanda. Maybe I've butchered the Rwanda youth are active, but yes, we would like to hear more directly from you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lilian, for that introduction. And I will use the opportunity also to welcome our new members, DR Congo and South Sudan. Welcome to the family of the East African Internet Governance Forum. We are glad to have you, and with you, we widen and broaden our scope to involve more citizens in our region on issues of internet governance. Now, speaking about Rwanda and the Internet Governance Forum, Rwanda joined the IGF in 2011. So we are 14 years old in this ecosystem and have been participating at the national level, the regional level, continental level, and have at many occasions actually participated also in the global internet governance forums around the world. Since our inception, the Rwanda IGF has played a critical role actually in shaping the nation's digital landscape, specifically by fostering the multi-stakeholder dialogue, which is supposed to be the principle and the bedrock onto which the global IGF builds, driving policy innovation and promoting inclusive internet governance. We have been very active, especially on influencing policy, and I will mention a few areas in which the Rwanda IGF has had critical impact in shaping the policy design of some of the active policies we have in Rwanda. One of them is the data protection and privacy law. This law, which protects personal data and ensures individual privacy, was significantly influenced by discussions and recommendations from the previous Rwanda IGFs. As we met over several forums, we crafted frameworks through which we made recommendations to government on specifically the personal data where we knew that internet was and had become an integral part of our Rwandan community lives. We also had a substantial influence on the AI policy. This policy, which guides the responsive development and deployment of artificial intelligence in Rwanda, has its roots in the multi-stakeholder conversation held at the IGF. This was particularly informed by the Global Digital Compact, which is the UN's overarching opinion that guides governments in coming up with AI policies. So by being part of the global IGF, we were able to look through some of the elements of the GDC and tried to advance the key components of the GDC into shaping today's Rwanda artificial intelligence policy. The other one is the child honor and protection policy, which has been a very key element that Rwanda has been discussing very critically. And as you know, as we advance in internet penetration, broadband penetration, as speeds get faster, as content becomes bigger on the internet, we were very particular and very intentional in shaping the Rwanda child honor and protection policy so that we create an environment where the children of Rwanda can have a safe cyberspace onto which they can learn, they can be entertained, they can share, they can converge, they can create synergies that help them to become better citizens as opposed to consuming content that could be harmful to their future and ultimately to the future of the country. So the child online protection policy aims at safeguarding children from online risks and promote their digital well-being. It has been a recurring theme at the Rwanda IGFs and was finalized and put into operation. And these policy developments demonstrate the IGF's tangible impact on shaping Rwanda's digital and regulatory framework. I have personally been involved in designing the implementation plan for the Rwanda COP policy under the United Nations, under UNICEF, to try to create a 5-year implementation plan of that policy that has very key components that help the children, especially the teenagers and the youth, in understanding some of the key issues of internet and making sure that they absorb and consume what is healthy for them as opposed to what could destroy their future. The other component that the Rwanda IGF has been very, very critical in shaping the landscape has been through capacity building and awareness. Through initiatives like the Rwanda School of Internet Governance, stakeholders have been equipped with the knowledge and skills to actively participate in internet governance processes. The forums have also raised awareness about critical issues such as digital literacy, online safety, and the importance of local content development. The other component also has been the multi-stakeholder collaboration. The Rwanda IGF has successfully brought together diverse stakeholders, fostering collaboration and partnerships that have driven impactful projects, such as expanding internet access to underserved communities and promoting e-government services. The forum has served as a platform for sharing best practices and lessons learned, both within Rwanda and across the region. You may you may be able to know that Rwanda has what we call Irembo, which is a one single gateway of government citizen services, where government is now able to deliver more than 200 online services seamlessly without any citizen having to queue up on any line or having to pick a border or a vehicle to move from one place to another. And the campaign through the IGF has also been promoting how people can be able to do this themselves without having to go to telecenters to be able to have someone to run an application for you, but having made it very easy through USSD codes for the largest part of the population that do not have smartphones, and making it easy for people to access government citizen services seamlessly. I wouldn't end without talking about regional and global recognition, which I touched about at the beginning of my discussion. But insights and outcomes from the Rwanda IGFs have been shared in regional and global forums, contributing to the broader internet governance ecosystem. Having participated in the Global IGF of 2022 in Addis Ababa, we also participated in the Global IGF in 2023 in Kyoto, in Japan, and other global IGFs that we've been part of. I will not end without talking about the other projects that we have in the pipeline, which is creating an annual grassroots, a bottom-up approach in trying to make sure that all citizens of Rwanda are able to participate in the global, in the national IGF. Because previously we would have these IGF meetings convening in cities, specifically in Kigali, and having physical participation of city dwellers in these discussions. But we've come up with a framework where, using the technology, we can now be able to have an entire country participate in IGF by introducing online call-ins, having hybrid forums where we really get critical participation and direct participation of citizens into these issues that shape the destiny of internet in advancing knowledge and advancing connectivity of our citizens. So without much ado, I wish to thank you for this. And that was a short presentation about Rwanda. And I hope to be giving more detail when we have a physical meeting tomorrow, and making sure that we advance these discussions to help citizens in our region. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Robert. Always good to hear nice things coming out of Rwanda. I'm really, really happy to hear that Rwanda has a child online protection policy. I think around that time, because this I think came out in 2019, and really happy to see that this took shape. and it's something that other countries within the region can also emulate. The multi-stakeholder, the participation in the global processes, and also you mentioned, the forum being used to deliberate on key digital policies, just like I think we heard from Tanzania, the data protection and privacy law, and also the AI policy. Good to hear good things happening. And again, these are things that maybe at regional level we don't get to hear until we convene in such settings. So glad to hear that. I think there was a question in the chat. You'll pick it on later on. Do we have links to the AI policies? So maybe you could provide maybe a link, especially for I know in East Africa, it's Rwanda and Kenya that have really national policy strategies happening around AI. The rest of us are still trying to catch up. So I think we'll be doing a lot of benchmarking. We are at noon, and I would like to, I don't know if Jean-Paul, you're still on the call. You could, I know you shared something about Burundi. If you're still on call, you could maybe use the next 5 or less minutes to let us know what's happening in Burundi. And then we will open the floor. Oh no, I'll send back. I think Barak is happy to share a few key insights, but we've already mentioned some of them. I'll open the floor to the members, to the participants, and then we will let our panelists respond to that. So, Jean-Paul, if you're still on with us, kindly provide some insights from Burundi.
Lillian, Jean-Paul just said he's having network issues, so he might probably not be able to speak.
Okay, I'm not so sure.
I actually thought he could be about 30,000 feet above sea level now.
That's what I also thought, because I think he's supposed to be on flight somewhere. So
supposed to be on flight en route to Nairobi.
Yeah, I guess we'll get him tomorrow. So the floor is open. I saw a hand that went down, but maybe Barak, in 2 minutes, you could speak more to the children IGF, how it was birthed, and maybe anything else that we should, learn from Kenya. And then we'll open the floor. Members, feel free to raise your hand. Let us know, and then we'll pick up. So Barak, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lydia. I hope you can hear me. Apologies, I wasn't able to do this earlier, but the Children IGF is organized by Watoto Watch Network, a partner of KICTANet. Historically, it picks up from work which was being done by INSEF. For those who attended the IGF in earlier years, there was a push by INSEF, which is behind the Safer Internet Day. But I think Watoto Watch Network has taken it a notch higher and actually taken it to the regions or to the counties, working with civil society organizations or community-based organizations that are dealing with child protection issues. I have also observed in recent years, Watoto Watch Network has actually embarked on a multi-stakeholder approach in which teachers are involved, the national security agencies are involved, entities that invest in products that are consumed by children, the social media houses are also involved, and even the regulators. So what started as something small has been picked up by a stakeholder and been amplified. And I think beyond Watoto Watch Network, we also have another, it's more of a regional entity that is run by one of our former ISOC leaders, that deals with child online protection. And I've seen that this has now morphed to regional level. So maybe take home based on what I have seen, just to say that the IGF has a lot of things that people can pick up. One thing I learned from my colleague Kivuva last year is that the work is not in this meeting that we are having today. There are work tracks, dynamic coalitions, and all manner of working groups, which we have actually not domesticated in our countries, that if we domesticated, then all of us that are in this room would be extremely busy. Those who are pursuing infrastructure, those who are pursuing child issues, those who are pursuing content issues, we are barely scratching the surface. So I appreciate what Watoto Watch Network has been able to do. In the same way, Keith and a number of young people have actually been able to also run with the Youth IGF. Keith was saying yesterday as we were presenting our reports at the Kenya IGF that the challenge that they were given by the chair of KICTANet was to make sure that they fill a room. Now they are asking for bigger space because they have filled the room. And I think increasingly the youth are doing their own thing. And listening to this year's IGF, it was very youthful demographically. And the conversation was really almost at global level, which brings in a lot of hope that for those who are on the UN MAG like yourself, Lillian, and those who are on Africa MAG, probably for the next 20 years, we have a generation that we are assured will take the IGF to where it needs to be. I'm struggling a bit with artificial intelligence because I started with dial-up. So I am more at home with cables and connectivity. But now we need a generation that will be able to take us to where we need to be in terms of artificial intelligence. In fact, now we are talking less about the lower layers of the OSI model and dealing more with the upper layers. And the sophistication at the upper layers calls for a new generation, calls for new thinking. And that's why initiatives like the Children IGF, the Youth IGF are really what will be key to taking the African continent to where it needs to be in future. Let me conclude by saying that it's commendable what we are having under the constraints that we've faced. I think in 2018 or thereabouts, Lillian, we were both involved in the policy and regulatory initiative for Digital Africa, the PRIDA project. The whole idea of the project was to move the number of national IGFs from, I think there were about 24 to 54 plus. Make sure that every African country has an IGF initiative. But now we are also having a challenge, if I pick up from what my colleague Robert has said earlier, to now move the IGF from the cities to every corner of our countries in East Africa, regardless of the challenges. I was glad yesterday seeing people coming in from the rural areas to the national IGF, which was something that we were struggling with in the past. But now we want to reverse it so that we will be going to the rural areas to be hosted by the people in the rural areas. So that is what I will conclude by saying. I would say that it would be best to link up with Watoto Watch Network for those who may want to learn from them, because they have walked their journey, I think, from 2013 to date. And I'm sure they have a lot that they can be able to share. I think they have started something at the African level, which I don't know whether we could have a working group where we can share best practices, but I'm sure maybe Lillian, wearing your hat as the chair of the MAG at Africa MAG, and those who are and Winnie as well, and those who are involved, you could explore maybe having such work tracks that will make sure that we don't, all of us, just focus at the national initiative, but we focus on some of the work streams like children, infrastructure, cybersecurity, which are actually very active at the global level. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Barack, and glad you could join us. I think I liked the history of the Children IGF, and I would like to, I don't know if Joshua could share something, because we do not have something similar in Uganda. But we have the Uganda chapter is very active in promoting child online safety. And just recently, not so long ago, last week, we have a portal, a dedicated portal on child online safety, interactive, is still, I think, is being improved. It's called besafe.ug. This is something that maybe other countries can also look at. It is open, providing interactive tips on how children can use, in protecting themselves online. And I think we are in the same boat. We are trying to push for adopting of a nationwide child online safety or protection policy. So these are really good things that we get to hear from the region. And again, like you said, we do not, we pick things like, here we are just talking, but the main purpose for me, being in the IGF for quite a number of years, is listening what's happening from other countries, other region, and then be able to see what can I take back home, what can I adapt, what can I, be able to take home and implement. So I think these success stories are really things that we never get to hear. And like I think either Robert or Asen mentioned that we need to actually do some sort of a proper research impact assessment that we can put out there, that even today, as we are uncertain about the IGF mandate renewal, we will have key points that we can push, that the national IGFs do not have to end because, the global IGF, I'm just trying to being here hypothetical. If it does not get renewed, we can still continue with our national processes, because this is where the conversations and the actual, live conversations are. Jean-Paul, I'll give the mic to you, then to Robert, and then we'll open up the floor. So Jean-Paul. Your network is
Can
really...
you hear me?
Yes, now, yes.
I was having network issue.
John Paul, I think you still have the same issue.
About progress made. Yes. Not to say that Jeff Burundi was born after we attended the first East Africa IGF 2008, and we started our first national IGF. We started our first IGF.
Lillian, I think you're on mute.
Yes, Jean-Paul, maybe you could just type in the chat. I'll be able to pick up that. And maybe tomorrow we'll also have room to share more about what the Burundi IGF has been able to achieve. And again, really apologies about this. I had a question about how can we use the, initiatives like this at regional level to address, challenges like, connectivity, as we already see. And I think this question was to Ford. So maybe you can pick it up. I see his hand is up. You can also speak to that, and then we'll give the floor. I think I saw some hands. We have a few, maybe we'll have the conversation up to, maybe it was supposed to be on top of the hour, but let's see how we pick it, how we pick it. So I think there's a question I think I had for you, Ford, on how can we use platforms like this to improve or address challenges like internet access, affordability, digital literacy. This was to Asen and Ford, but Ford, since your hand is already up, maybe you could see how you can,
Thank you, Lillian, for that. Actually, my hand was up particularly for that, I was trying to catch up from where you had last ended, but I was hoping that within these forums, specifically within this EAIGF in Nairobi, we could create or advance a thought process toward a regional child online protection policy, where we could benchmark from some of the key points within the existing child online policies in the region and see what fits the entire region. But you will get to find that that policy is not just for the country. It could be applicable to the entire region. And within the child online protection policy, there are key activities that we could begin implementing at a regional level that we could work with some of our partners to make sure that we get some of those activities implemented. One of them that we have in our implementation plan in Rwanda was starting what we call the COP clubs in schools. Now, normally schools have clubs. You have the debating club, you have the science club, you have the environment club, we had crafted some of these activities of COP clubs in schools in such a way that their structures and their existence in those schools does not divert or impede the learning process of the classical learning structure of students in school. So you have the national curriculum through which students actually attain education through lessons. But we found out that by creating these clubs and giving them a specific structure, it may not actually impede that process. So you have their extracurricular time where they could be able to participate in these clubs. And these clubs could become a conduit through which discussions about internet security, internet safety, internet can be advanced. So I was hoping that from this EAIGF in Nairobi, we could be able to come up with a blueprint, or we could be able to come up with a recommendation that we could form the East African Child Online Protection Process. It may not be a policy, but an EAIGF initiative to advance child online protection for the entire region. And by adapting it from this framework, we could be able to influence our local governments through parliament, through local IGFs, through ministries, to make sure that it is integrated within the East African framework for child online protection. And I think I was hoping that Daniel Mulenzi would be part of this discussion. This is something he could pick so that we can even elevate it to the EAC level, and it could be adopted at the EAC level. This is my thought process. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Robert. I think it's a very good recommendation. And again,
and I think sorry to interrupt, but I think I discussed this with you when I was in Uganda last year, working on the ICT innovation promotion through the Japan project. I think we met somewhere at Temora, and I had talked about this with you, but this could be an ideal and opportune time to share it with all these members of our region and see how we can advance it. I submit.
Yes, thank you so much, Robert. I think it's a very valid recommendation, and just so we to share that last year when we met conversations last year and the year before, we had recommendations in pushing for data governance regional framework, and during this came, I think, in 2023 at the regional level when we had the East Africa School on Internet Governance. We focused on cybersecurity, but one of the things that kept coming up was the data governance region, and I think there is conversations happening at the regional level. At the EAC, they are working around doing that. We had a capacity building session for the legislators, IALA, And this is something I think that we can easily pick up. Yes, Engineer Mrenzi was supposed to be on the call. I think I saw someone from ESC join, but probably they dropped off. But this is one of the key issues or recommendations that, yes, we can pick up and send through to the community. And I'm sure currently with the projects that they are having with support from the World Bank, and I'm sure Sudan has a very big cut on developing digital policies, especially on data protection and all that. This is something that we can further front to be one of the key outcomes from the big chunk of money that the ESC is having from the World Bank on improving digital policies in the region. So thank you so much. I would like to open the floor. I have a hand from Winnie and Martin. Please limit your intervention to questions. If it's commentary, make it 1 minute. If it is a question, make it to 2 minutes so that we can allow everyone to be able to say something. Feel free to pose questions to the coordinators here. If you're not active in your national process, it's also an opportunity to express interest or raise any kind of, recommendation in how we can improve this our national processes. So I have a hand from Winnie and then Martin Malingi. So Winnie, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Madam Lillian. Thanks, Chair, for that opportunity. I guess mine is just to concur with what has just been said. My name is Winnie Kamau, current Vice Chair of the MUG, Africa MUG. Just to concur with what Robert said, that if we can have a policy that would help, especially right now, and like we were discussing yesterday, and we heard from the Kenya IGF yesterday, that Facebook is now allowing, or they have embraced a new product that will target 13-year-olds to 17-year-olds. If you're not careful, and I know TikTok will, if Facebook can do it, I know other social media products will be able to follow that. And if you're not careful, like we were told, will be the product being laid on the table, because we are the consumers. So I pray that this can, if we can come up with a policy or something that can help the East Africa, then it would help, especially when we're looking at the children IGF and pushing for the rights of the children. And just to big up all the national coordinators for all the good work that they are doing. And I like the positivity coming from South Sudan and also from Burundi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Winnie. I think that is something that we'll keep in mind. Martin, I see your hand is up.
Okay, thank you, Madam. Hello. My name is Martin Malingi from Kilifi Dunia Moja Community Network. I have a question just to seek insight from you. In regulating online content to curb hate speech and disinformation, how do we avoid tipping into censorship or silencing dissenting voices? Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. The question has been noted. I think I'll give it to any of our panelists to respond. So let us take as many questions as possible, and then we will answer them. Is it Kelvin? Yes, Kelvin, you have a hand up. Kelvin, are you able to unmute and say something?
Yes, okay. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
I'm Kelvin from Dunia Moja This is Kenya, Kilifi County. So you find out that there are some social media applications that are allowed to run in a country, but when you come to the next country, the same app is restricted. So how can global internet governance frameworks balance the national security, cultural sensitivities, and digital sovereignty while ensuring the social media applications remain neutral and accessible across different regions? Thank you.
Thank you, Kelvin. The question has been answered, so I don't see any more hands. I don't know. I don't see hands. There are some also questions in the chat, some conversation going on there. So I would like to give the floor to any of our panelists, Robert, Asen, Joshua, to respond to any of the questions raised from Kelvin.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe I'll be happy to take the question on the misinformation and disinformation, which I think was one of my theme proposals for this year's EAIGF. When I was proposing this, I think I'd taken it from an angle of online misinformation, disinformation in fueling conflict in our region. Because what we've seen lately is how countries have been having issues with reliance on the trash in, trash out content on internet that has really fueled a lot of conflict that we've been having in our countries. I mean, from south to north and from east to west. You look at neighboring countries in Congo, when you look at the conflict in South Sudan, the conflicts in Somalia. What has happened is that people have just picked information, posted information with the purposes of fueling conflict. In answering this, I think I'll first give credit to Uganda. I've been operating in Uganda for about 1.5 years until last year in June, where there was a deliberate decision by government to take down content that they thought was harmful specifically to children. When you go to Uganda, and we did this as a test when I was getting there, working in a project I was working with the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, and while we were testing some of the applications or some of the sites, especially sites on pornography, on narcotics, human trafficking. When you go to Uganda, they were very deliberate in actually taking down some of these URLs, which they thought were very harmful to their society. That's a very good thing. And I think that can be adopted really at a regional level, to have a deliberate, intentional process of taking down some of the content, at least the one that we are very sure we know is harmful to our communities. We may not be able to see through and see all this content and take it down because of the nature and form of how they name the URLs, and then sometimes you swoop through and then some of the content is out there. But we need to have a decision at the ESC level to be able to be deliberate and intentional in taking down content. That is one. But also, we need also to leverage the power of AI now. With artificial intelligence, it's very possible to set certain algorithms that will help you to be able to see through some of the key data items and be able to pull down data that is being accessed by who. It is easy with AI to know that this tool or this device is being used by this type of human being. It could be an adult, it could be a veteran, it could be a child, it could be a female, it could be a male. Like AI has capacity to automatically build these algorithms to be able to identify unique users and be able to orient content that is only useful to them and not harmful to them, respecting the cultural values that the previous speaker spoke about, but also looking at the demography or demographics and understanding that this is harmful, for example, for gender issues, this is harmful for retirees and pensioners, or this is harmful for this. And then we become deliberate and intentional in taking it down without remorse, fear, or favor, or without calling it censorship of internet, because this is protection of society and communities around us and building a future that is good for our own good. I submit, Chair.
Thank you, Robert. Any other takers on the questions? Asen, Barak, I see you're active in the chat. Maybe you could share that. And I don't know, Joshua, Stephen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah.
You can talk.
Thank you very much, Chair. I was just emphasizing on the need for structured coalitions. I think looking back at the history of the East African IGF and some of our national IGFs, we've had movements. I think there was that group of journalists from Tanzania led by Mr. Abubakar Karsan, and they would mobilize resources for the IGF to happen. And I think to agree with what you said, Chair, that regardless of what happens at global level, if we feel that this is beneficial at national level, if we have coalitions and the right structures, we can be able to mobilize resources. I think for the last few editions of EAIGF, I've seen quite a number of youth, and even Winnie, who is here, take a bus to wherever the meeting is. And I want to believe even with the Africa IGF that is coming up in Dar es Salaam, most likely we are going to see those who will be able to get there. I think it's not a question of whether there is sponsorship or whether there is money, or whether, but if the issues are a pain to our toes. So I want to again just encourage that coalitions have really proven to be great places for mobilizing resources. People may not be able to come, but if they are part of the coalition, they can contribute, or as we say, changa something for representatives to actually be able to attend these meetings and articulate the issues that need to be articulated. Otherwise, I was posting on the chat that it's evident that we have people that are very passionate about different subjects in the area of the IGF, and nothing should stop them from convening or having discussions before we have the regional meeting. In fact, if we have these frameworks, I don't know how we are going to structure it. We would even lack time for this meeting that we are having today. And even through those coalitions, even if it's been a hard year in terms of mobilizing resources from donors, as all of us are aware, but I'm sure the coalitions would have, in a way, helped us find ways of mobilizing resources and ensuring that regardless of what is happening at the global scene, we are able to meet. So I'm rooting for strong coalitions. I was impressed when I had the report by Watoto Watch Network, and when I saw that there were community-based organizations that came from Tharaka Nithi, which hosted the Children's IGF this year, Homa Bay County, and many other counties who self-funded to actually participate in the national IGF. So you find that a lot of times we are troubling ourselves with how do we get people to the venue. Yet when we have those coalitions or we have those movements, you find that people are motivated to self-fund to be able to participate. And I believe also we have the infrastructure, community networks movement that is growing. We have content, we have the media. And so we can't prosecute all this in one sitting, because not all of us are journalists, not all of us are technicians. But if we have a framework within which we can participate year long, maybe we can identify leaders and just look at resource people who then report back on behalf of those coalitions to this East African IGF meeting. so that we are able to strengthen ourselves as we move forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Barak. I know there were some broader questions on AI governance from, I think, Kelvin, safeguards, monopolization of internet services, cybersecurity, digital rights, and privacy protections. Again, I
Chair?
think these questions. Sorry?
No, Chair, I would like to touch on Kelvin's comment, if at all someone else has not picked on it.
No one has picked. So you can just respond to that. But also I wanted to say that I think some of the responses to this may be touched on in tomorrow's meetings. We have sessions that are really focusing on some of these questions he has raised. So in the interest of time, maybe we could invite you, Kelvin, to come again tomorrow to EDGE Convention Center, register, and maybe come physically to interact, or even online to be in these sessions to really have very good responses to the questions. But Barak, if you'd like to tackle any of the questions, please feel free.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, Kelvin, for those questions. I can see you are from Dunia Moja, meaning that you are a community network practitioner. I would like by stating that if you are not on the table, you are on the menu. And being on the table takes effort. You have to fight for space. Even the longest table in the world is not infinite. If you look at the population of the world, taking your space means you have to be competent, you have to be resourced, and you have to be passionate. It's not given for free. We are talking about the IGF. Many of us would be doing other things at this hour, but we are here because we are passionate about the cause of internet governance. Just looking back last year, when young people moved beyond the keyboards to the streets to agitate on the things that they believed in, and all of a sudden people realize, hey, this internet business is serious. We've seen the same in Tunisia and in other countries. So on the issue of monopolization of internet, community networks are an answer. We have had a challenge in the mainstream operators appreciating community networks, but it is because they did not understand what community networks are. That is the biggest problem. People used to think that community networks have come to do away with tier 1 operators, the mobile network operators, tier 2 operators, gateways, and tier 3, those who build infrastructure. But in actual sense, community networks depend on tier 3, tier 2, and tier 1, because if a community network was to take up the responsibility that is bestowed on tier 1 operators, it costs billions of dollars to be able to build infrastructure. So it is better you play in the space in which you're comfortable in. Community networks, broadly defined, are infrastructure designed and deployed by the community for purposes of the community. Different communities communicate in different ways and prefer to receive content in different ways. So, for instance, I will liken it to the issue, the water problem that faces many continents in Africa. I was in a conference and I heard of a team that went to deploy, to dig boreholes, wells, community wells in, well, I was told it's DRC. I want to speak with caution because Hassan is here and it's a story I had. That they went and dug wells because people were walking a long distance to go and fetch water from the rivers. And people started throwing trash into those wells. And the question was, who told you we had a problem walking to the river? We were just fine going to fetch water in the river. So now they have dug holes, and community members felt they're a good place to be able to dump trash. So when we go into communities, we should not imagine that they don't understand how to live or they don't know their needs. So in the same way, sometimes we come up with infrastructure designs or we come up with with network designs, thinking that we are helping the community, yet they could potentially design better models that are best suited for them. For instance, we are currently talking about the global system for mobile telephony, GSM. Who said we cannot have another version of mobile telephony that is inspired by the situation or the conditions in Africa? But we can only know if we try at the end of the day. So what community networks have done is that they have given us the power, to design and deploy infrastructure that resonates with our needs or that meets with our needs. Having been involved in community networks, in the past we were told, take vouchers to communities. Some of our communities, vouchers do not resonate with them. Mobile money resonates with our people. So what does that mean? It has meant that there are many young people that have started writing applications that are able to collect money from community members using technologies like STK, or you just push. The mobile phone companies have even gone further and said, even if you don't have money on your phone, we can give you some credit, or we can give you, in Kenya, we call it Fuliza, for you to be able to be online. So we are seeing that if we take the conversation of infrastructure into our hands, we are able to innovate. And this is the only way in which we will prevent monopolization. Because if we don't have anything, then we will have to be given something in our hands. And if we look at the history of evolution of telephony, we have had the public switch telephone network that was prevalent from the 60s to the 70s. We have had the voice network. It was called, I think, 1G. We've had 2G, in which we could send SMS and also call. We've had 3G, in which we could send SMS, call, and have video. We've had 4G, in which we can stream. And now we are talking about 5G, which has IoT. It is people who have developed this. So if we don't develop, Kevin, then we will have to rely on existing models, which will predispose us to monopolies. On the second question that you have asked about the issue of governments balancing cybersecurity policies with digital rights, again, it is our responsibility. Policy development in most democracies or in many countries is a factor of the populations that are being served by those particular policies. So when you see calls for public participation in your local community, at the chief, show up, because regulations are made. You know, in Nairobi, if you try to tie your shoelaces, stepping on a flower vase in the city, you will be arrested promptly. And you will realize that there are laws that are governing the city. If you try to throw a banana peel on the street, you will be arrested. These laws are actually made in public gatherings, which are called by community leaders. And so my encouragement is, let's pay attention to every piece of law, every piece of policy, and every piece of regulation that is coming up, because the devil is in the details. The government normally clamps down on us based on existing regulation, based on existing policy, and based on existing laws. Most of these are set when things are well, are good, when we are not paying attention, and when the Minister of Enjoyment is the one on the seat. So when things go south, that's when we start asking, but who developed these policies? They were developed by the very leaders that we took to Parliament. So this is an encouragement, seeing that we have a youthful population that is participating in the IGF. Beyond just demonstrating, let us ensure that we put in place policies that determine how we live and how we are affected by the various technological instruments that are around us. I think on the last point, on the issue of ethical frameworks that govern AI and algorithmic decision-making, what I will say, I think there's a good old adage in internet governance that what is wrong offline is wrong online. What we consider to be good sense or common sense should actually also apply in cyberspace. We should not treat cyberspace as a totally different entity from where we live. So when we are talking about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is simply here to enhance how we do our work. And therefore, it should align to the norms, it should align to the culture, it should align to good sense that we consider as human beings. My submission. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Barack. Very well put. And we are at the top of the hour. I think I would also add on that we are going to have more in-depth conversations tomorrow around these same issues. So I would encourage Kelvin to actively engage tomorrow as well. Today was just to kickstart the conversation. So without further ado, I would like to thank everyone for taking time to join us for these 2 hours. We've heard quite a lot from what's happening from the national IGFs, what we've been able to achieve, what the IGF means from a local context. So thank you so much, our speakers, our panelists, the people who are making things happen, who without their work or efforts would not even be having the regional IGFs. As you've already heard, or you may already know that the regional IGF depends on the national IGFs. The national IGFs feed into the regional IGFs, and then the regional IGFs, this one, the East Africa IGF, feeds into the continental IGF, which is happening in Dar in a week's time. So that is, again, I think we have our vice chair on call, Winnie. I thought you would mobilize people to be able to go to Dar. But yes, the Africa IGF is taking place May 29th to 31st. Dar is just across the border. So as a region, we should be able to mobilize ourselves to be present, to participate. And I think I also like to touch on the point Barack's mentioned about us being able to organize ourselves. Last year, we saw, not even just last year, in 2023, we saw Kenya mobilizing to come for the regional IGF in Kigali. We had people, taking onto the bus, the youth were really very active in that. And also we saw that happening in Kampala last year. And this time around, Uganda has decided to what's the word that I can use? To revenge. We have a huge delegation of young people who have mobilized themselves to come to the regional IGF in Nairobi. So we hope that they'll get the warm hospitality from our fellow East Africans in Nairobi. And this is something that we would also like to see among, other countries as well. Rwanda, DRC, it may be very far, but it's not that far from Kinshasa or Goma to, I know Goma has issues, but yes. From South Sudan, could be a long story, but I think the point I'm trying to make, and also emphasizing what I think Barack mentioned, is we need to be able to mobilize internally so that we can have more voices. 10 years from now, we will not be there. The schools of internet governance are doing a lot, the youth, but at times also we need to have people being in the room to make those connections, to make those points. And at times where we've seen connectivity as an issue, we may not be able to have those voices. I think we've already witnessed part of that. I would like to end the meeting, but I don't know, Winnie, I see you have a hand. I'm giving you 1 minute to talk about the Africa IGF, and then I'll close.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you once again for the opportunity to be able to ask people, let's go for a road trip down to Dar es Salaam. It's a beautiful city, and I'm praying that in Nairobi, in Kenya, we have Kidia One that will take us there. I was told it's a bus which has a restroom inside the bus, so you don't need to go struggling. you'll be catered for everything once you get into the bus. But as we're looking for more funding and trying to get people, mobilize people to come on board, I love the passion that has already been shown by the young people. I met the young people from Uganda yesterday. And it's amazing just seeing how people are ready to just avail themselves and just be there to share the passion. And I'm asking that even as we're going forward, let's have one message in terms of looking at the bigger picture. That's for the YCs plus 20. What are we going to say as East Africans? What's the message that we're sending? And I know that will be addressed tomorrow. So let's come prepared to have those tough conversations and see what's our future, especially for the IGF. What's our future going forward? And look forward to the bus ride. I've done the road trips to Kigali, to Kampala, and I believe this other one for Dar es Salaam will be amazing, equally amazing. So look forward to seeing you all. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Winnie. Tomorrow, all roads lead to the Age Convention Center. In a week's time, on 27th to 31st, all roads are leading to Da. I'll be there. A couple of people on this in this meeting will be there. So I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow and also in Da. But most importantly, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, because tomorrow is more nearer than, a week to come. So I would like to end this session with highlighting that we've achieved quite a lot. We have a lot to showcase as a region, and let's continue these conversations in the meeting that is going to happen tomorrow. We have a whole 8 hours of conversation, and I'm sure we'll hear more recommendations from the community. So to all who have joined us today, asante sana, mwewale nnyo. Oh God, I wanted to speak French, but I think that is not coming.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. I wanted to tell them to come tomorrow. Maybe Asen can assist with that. Come tomorrow in French.
Bienvenue demain. À demain.
Yes, that one. So wishing you a very nice afternoon. There should be a session that is coming up, I think, in an hour's time. Again, the details, I think it will be the same channel. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and let's continue the conversation online and physically. So, asante sana, mubere bulungi, be well.
Lillian, are you at the edge already, or?
No, not yet.
So we are converging there now?
Yes, we are converging there.
Okay, I'll be heading there shortly as well. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you everyone, and thank you so much, KICTANet, for hosting us this morning afternoon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you all.